So I feel like I've been slacking on videos here lately, so I'm gonna do a good old-fashioned long one for you today. I'm gonna wash a WRX. This is, I guess, technically the launch of Bead Maker. I've decided that despite the fact that it requires a little more effort, that I'm gonna offer it as an option in the store. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the car washing package. It's a little odd because, you know, the other stuff that I've launched or used, I've been using for, in most cases, years and years. And this is a new discovery for me, so I'm a little leery to do it. But I think it's really good. And you know, in people that I trust their opinion, you know, I don't follow what most people say, but you know, Levi's one of those dudes from the rag company who I don't know, he's not going to steer me wrong. You know, he's, you know, not your average human that you can't just follow blindly. And again, I wouldn't say that I'm following anybody blindly, but you know, I don't have any long-term use of the product, but I do think I could put my name on it. It's really great. Interesting, you know, I was talking to Bob from P&S. Bob's dad started the company years ago. He said, I think that Bead Maker, I think he was saying that they discovered this or made this product in like the 1960s. And it just so happens that it, because it cross-links and bonds, that it does really well with the coating and improves the, there's been some, he had some, a company that did some really detailed chemical research on how it bonds and improves the longevity of a coating. Even, you know, silicon dioxide coatings, even though it's a polymer monomer sealant. So it has a hardening agent, and it also has some UV inhibitors or UV filters, I guess you could say. The product goes on thick and leaves a pretty unique finish. You know, because a lot of people have been asking me, why don't you just do reload, or why don't you do the Eco 2 reload combo, or why don't you use hydrate, or why don't you stick with Optimum spray wax? The main thing for me is I wanted something that works for a coating and a wax, and so I'm playing with this all the time. And you know, it's also easier from the store's perspective to make a single recommendation. And then, you know, I was using a different drying age for the door jambs over the paint. And I think that this does well for all of it. It's not as great, it's not as good, and I'll show you here later. It's not a great drying aid because it requires more effort, but I do like to do it during the drying aid process. So it may still make sense to keep Optimum spray wax or ECH2O in your cabinet. You know, I've leaned out how many products I keep in my cabinet, so I think it makes sense to add this product to the arsenal and not just have it replace something else. Because there are times when you just want to wash the car, get it dry, get it done, and you don't want to go through this whole process. The other thing that I haven't had time to work on that others have been telling me is the first application of Bead Maker takes a little more time, and then the next application doesn't take as much. So anyway, just some thoughts. I put 150 mLs of Adam's car shampoo. We're going to do the WRX today. I haven't, unfortunately, I was waiting for it to haze over, and it just hasn't. It doesn't always do that, and so it rained very quickly after I let it sit in the garage for a couple of days, just because we were busy packing and shipping stuff. And then we took it out of the garage, and when I did that, it rained like within a few hours, and so maybe that had something to do with the oils not coming to the surface. So if you didn't watch the WRX series, I talked a lot about, or the whole series, I talked a lot about how, you know, the oils a lot of times will come to the surface. A lot of people were asking questions about, well, does that mean that it doesn't bond with the paint? Again, I've never experienced that, or doesn't bond with the power lock that's underneath. But we're going to go through a whole wash here, and I'm just going to chat you up. I've got a lot to talk about. I just got back in the Rupes trip, so I feel like I haven't been up to date with all of you, what's going on. So I've got Auto Fanatics wheel cleaner. The other thing I'll be working on this week is I'll probably do a pre-order for the mount that a lot of you have been asking me about, his little cart version for the 1322 or the 1622 Krenzler pressure washer. I'll be having some more info on that. I'm finally catching up here. Which I'm sure I'll get behind again when I go up to hang out with Troy up in Pennsylvania to do his custom install solution that we're doing. But Auto Fanatic, this is his foaming wheel cleaner. I'm going to defy his recommendation here. I want to see how it works with a spray bottle. So I've added 2 ounces per, so there's 30 ounces of water, 2 ounces of product. His dilution calls for 10 ounces for really strong dilution, 6 ounces in a gallon of water. So this sucker's going to last you the rest of your darn life. I'm going to have to talk him into pre-diluting it so he can sell more product. he's a good dude, stand-up guy, so he probably wouldn't do that. He'd rather just give you a good, good price on a good product and give it to you, and sort of defy some of the industry things where they're trying to get you to use more product. So I suspect he'll probably stick with this pretty concentrated formulation. But here's what it looks like. This is again 2 ounces per, so it's a 32 ounce bottle with 2 ounces of solution. And so his dilution calls for 10 ounces per 1 gallon, 6 ounces per 1 gallon is the medium or moderate, and then light brake dust and maintenance 4 ounces. So I shot the gap and I said I did an equivalent of what would be 8 ounces per gallon by divide by 4, put 2 ounces per 32, right? So we have a between moderate and aggressive version of this, and again, he suggests doing it in a foamer. I have the Quasar foamer up there, but I don't know. I just want to try and see how this works. I'll probably end up still agitating the wheels anyway. The idea behind this wheel cleaner is that you could spray it on and walk away, depending on how caked on your brake dust is. For my GT3, theoretically you should be able to just spray it on and walk away with carbon ceramics. He's done more testing than probably any other person that I've seen, or any company that I've seen. I don't know all the history of all the wheel cleaners, how much testing has been done, but I suspect that he's going to be up there. Even though he's an enthusiast like me, we tend to take things to a pretty far level when it comes to vetting stuff. And I know, professional detailers, a lot of you are pro detailers, a lot of you sort of, have a lot more real world experience, and you're using products all the time. But I've found that wannabes have a tendency to have a little more time, have a lot more time to play with stuff than pros. You have to find something that works, you stick with it, and changing things up a lot of times isn't as viable as us YouTube goofs. So anyway, let's get rolling. Let's do the wheels and tires. I'm going to try this, test this out on both the wheels and the tires. So let's get out there and get rolling. All right, so after the full full correction of the car, it's been a week and a half, and actually probably, about a week and a half since the car has been done. It's really dirty, lots of rain this time of year here in Florida. So the car's dirty. We got some brake dust, quite a bit of brake dust on the wheels. So what I'm going to do is spray it off here real quickly, and then spray the wheel cleaner on. I want to try a couple of things here as I'm live testing this stuff. Normally I do this stuff off camera, but I have a lot to talk about, so why not chat you up here. So check this out. This is my new prototype. This is prototype number 3, maybe 4. So notice the swivel here. Let's get in a little closer. So notice the swivel is actually, before we chat about this, let's just do this, and then let's get this on the wheel so it has a chance to sit for a second, and then we'll talk about this. Look at that, that's sick. All right, so we've got it shaken up here. Again, this is not foaming, so it won't dwell as much, but again, I want to cheat, see how it does, and this will help me decide if I need to go foamer. So let that sit here for a minute. So here's the Mosmatic, right? So we decided not to do full internal stainless, so you do have a brass connection on the end here. We would have to completely redesign the gun. It would cost a lot more money. So maybe someday. Again, I don't think this really matters other than the look. But notice the the lack of bulk here on the end. I'm also working on getting a, especially for the Krensla stuff, the Ryobi stuff, the Greenwork stuff, is getting a really stout new version of this quick disconnect here with M22 thread, so I don't need to put that goofy adapter, that brass twist and seal plug on here. So we have our swiveling, amazing Mosmatic swivel, but now it's integrated, and I can't show you here because we're under pressure, but the plug is now integrated into the swivel, so we lose a piece there and lose a good inch. One problem I ran into is, in order to adapt the foam cannon, these quick disconnects here, one of our prototype quick disconnects from Mosmatic, the depth is too shallow on the 1/4 inch equal thread version. So this is an MTM Chinese option, but we had to adapt this for now. Here is so I just put this on the gun. So we're back to the drawing board on this. So that's why we have a delay. We also have an integrated plug, much shorter, stubbier plug on the inlet to the wand. So the wand is a little bit more stout, a little shortened up. So I don't need to torque on a new plug. It comes pre-torqued and it looks a little cleaner than having to see the Teflon tape. So that's integrated. And then we have our normal 20-inch bent wand, full T304 stainless. And then this is the magic. So if you've ever seen the wand before, and I'll make a full deep dive video into this in the future when we get this finalized. So here's the regular wand, right? So here's the difference. So what we do is we boil these, we pull it back so that it softens up. It's a real pain in the rear. Each one of these takes 20 or 25 minutes of labor to do, and that's being really efficient, knowing exactly what you're doing. So here's the wand. This has to get pulled back, and then this 1/4 inch quick disconnect is the same that we have on the end of the gun, right? And so we have to then torque this down and then heat this back up and pull it back over the nut again. It's a big pain in the rear. And then ultimately, if this hits the paint, it's not protecting anything. So this nozzle protector is more to look nice than anything. But there's no other real way around it to be able to swap. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to, we could have put a nozzle in here, but then we wouldn't have a nozzle on the end of the gun, and you would have a separate nozzle from this nozzle. And so I always wanted to be able to take this and put it on the end of the gun, right? Simplify things. But again, this isn't ideal. And so the new solution is to take, and you can see, is to take this protector. We now have a typical, and we can put whatever size pattern we want on here, and I'm going to have many different options. I'm going to have 25 degree, I'm going to have 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 6.0, depending on what size we need for your pressure washer. This clearly is more expensive than this little white tip here, right? These are $6. I don't know what these are going to be, but probably 25 bucks. But this is a much more stout, much higher quality, full stainless, everything nozzle that now can be fully protective, right? So if I come here and I accidentally get too close and I bump the paint, my protector, my nozzle is actually integrated down inside of here. These couplers are amazing. These are, I don't think these are being made in China. I think these are being made in Switzerland. I think this is going to add a little bit to the cost, but ultimately, I don't think the gun combo is going to be all that much more than the way it was before. When we go and switch between long and short gun, notice that the coupler that we'll end up putting on the end here will be equal threaded, so you won't see the threads. It'll actually go all the way in. So I'm excited about how that's going to work. All right, so we let that sit there for a few minutes. Let's see what happens when I just spray it off. I think you're clearly going to need a foamer. Yeah. Well, hold on. Yeah, there's still dirt on here. He's going to lose his crap by me trying to cheat the system. Let's see how it does when we clean the wheel with my normal process. So spray the stuff on. I just want to see how much lubrication it has. Let's see what else is going on. So anyway, that's the gun. I'm really excited about that, to have my own version of it. And so we've been Jamie and I at Mosmatic have been working hard with Switzerland to come up with the CAD drawings. I then approve or disapprove of what we're planning, and then I get a prototype, and then I get to test the prototype. I think we're almost there. So that's exciting. So Bead Maker's coming out here real shortly. That's exciting to me to have a new product. And then let's see what other products. Oh, the Nano Pad Package. I was all excited. I got it ready to go. I got the photos done, the video done, and then I had ordered a bunch of the wool pads, and they're back ordered. So no dice on that. All right, so I know I don't have an IK foamer or sprayer or some of the other ones. I know it's all the craze to buy those. I've bought and thrown away so many of those, it's not even funny. I just don't like them. I would much rather have a spray bottle, in my hand. So we do have a little brake dust back here, not super dirty. This one doesn't foam particularly well. Doesn't foam as well as the IK stuff. In fact, this thing is junk. I think it's had better days. So we'll have to, in order to give this a fair shake, I'll have to buy another foamer to try it out. But I mean, that wheel came out extremely clean. Again, not insanely dirty. So anyway, we're going to talk a lot more about Bead Maker here in a minute. I'm so pleased with putting Colonite on this car. I know that I've been taking a lot of flack for the old school nature of it and why wouldn't you coat it and blah blah blah. But I don't know. I just like it, and I like the idea of having a wax on a car like this that my dad doesn't drive every day. It just makes sense. So the Nano Pad Package, and I realized something that, like with the wool pads, the Nano Pads were priced properly, but the bigger wool pads, the 5 and 6 inch, I'd just gone on and figured out what all the other retailers are selling them for, and I normally don't do this. I normally don't even look. I just set the price, whatever the price should be, and then I'll go check Amazon and make sure I'm not 50% more than everywhere else. But the 5 and 6 inch pads are, they're like $20-something everywhere. $20 for the 5 inch, I think 22 each. And I realized I'm buying them in packs of 50, and then I just take whatever margins I have and take the 50 and divide it by, so take the retail price, divide it by 50, because you get a discount when you buy a pack of 50, and so the pricing is a lot more. I forget what the actual price. Same thing with the yellow pads, the white pads. I was just pricing what everyone else was doing, and I realized that I get better pricing. I don't know if they buy them in 2 packs or what, but I'm buying them hundreds at a time, so it makes sense to price them a little differently. But the Nano package is going to be pretty cool, I think. I'll have microfiber, which I got those. Rupes doesn't recommend microfiber because of the heat generated, but I know a lot of people like, including myself, I prefer to have a microfiber pad. Even for the Nano, for the small inch, again, me defying a little bit here, you know, just doing it my way. You know, it doesn't have to be somebody else's way. It can be your way or whatever way you want. But dang, there is actually no smell to this. This is pretty nice. That's a nice feature of this wheel cleaner here. The Nano comes with stuff, and so everybody ends up just using what the Nano comes with, and then it's tricky to find all the other pads. I think wool is a really viable option now. Lots of guys, they had their minds blown a bit by Jason and Dylan talking about wool and how, you know, wool can work very similarly to microfiber without the heat. So that's a nice, you know, nice option to have in your arsenal. You may or may not use it. I mean, I'll probably still go to microfiber most of the time, but it's a nice option to have. Oh yeah, we got a little bit more beading from that Dr. Beasley's on here. This foamer sucks. Sorry, this is a maiden voyage here. Same thing, many of you probably didn't realize this, but with Bead Maker, you know, for my first application of Bead Maker, I did a bunch of stuff wrong. You know, we put it on a coating and it was smearing, and I just kept trying to see how it did. But you have to do it a little differently on a coated car than you would on a wax car. So I'm as usual, just showing you how I do things, right? And sometimes I have to figure it out. So if you've been putting it on, and I know some people get their rocks off by this, but if you've been applying something for 10 years and you know how to do it because you've done it 500 times, and then you see somebody else doing it and you're like, oh, this idiot doesn't know what he's doing, but you've forgotten about, well, you know, the first time you put it on. I guess I like to think I'm man enough to be okay with fumbling through stuff. So I've got citrus wash in gallons that just showed up. And Chemical Guys has basically told me they're not making it anymore, so this is my last batch. Now I've procured another option. I'm hoping to have that finalized here this week, so that when I run out, which will be probably rather quickly, when I run out, I'll have an option immediately to replace it. So I've got gallons coming, bottles coming. They're not the perfect gallons, the perfect bottles, you know, the actual plastic bottle. They're good, but I'm going to keep searching. I'm probably going to have it made eventually, but I'm going to chase that. I found Amazing Caps, a company that makes these really great caps for dispensing the soap. I really have been toying with the idea of using thermoscientific bottles, you know, Nalgene bottles designed for labs, but you know, we're talking about it with $7, $8 bottle with a cap. You know, could it be as much as 18 bucks just for the bottle? I don't know, we'll see. I don't want to have expensive bottles if I can find a more viable, you know, $2 or $3 bottle that works. But I think, I know this, I would like to have a matching bottle set, very squeezable bottles for my shampoos, soaps, things like that, a great sprayer for wheels and tires, and a wheel, tire, and other spray bottles, things like that. Again, I don't know that I care much about a foamer, although if this wheel cleaner becomes the wheel cleaner of choice, then maybe I'll need to address that. I like having spray bottles. I like having it in my hand. I like the control of it, and I know a lot of you are the same way. Having a bunch of big sprayers, I don't know, they're just not as clean looking, and again, I just prefer to have a bottle, and I want to have a really clean looking logoed bottle, but something that doesn't turn you off, because I would like to have all matching. And then my vision is to have lots and lots of different products from all over the world. Sometimes I'm going to have to go and make my own stuff if it doesn't exist, or like in this case where citrus wash, they stopped making it. So that's going to be delicate, because I really want to have the ability to say, you know, I don't want this anymore, I'm going to do something else. And so when I start to do this semi-branded, co-branded stuff, it takes away some of my ability to or at least, it doesn't take away my ability, but it takes away the perception of, okay, Matt's subjective and doing something a little differently. So anyway, I'm gonna worry less about appearances and more about function, you know, excellence and function. I'm aware of the appearance of things and what people think, but I don't let that drive my decision to the point of fault, if you know what I mean. That's a tough thing to do, especially now that, and I'm sorry guys, I know I get lots of questions about it, I really can't talk about it. It's just not, I just say I can't, you know, legally I can't. So I'm doing Obsessed Garage full time, and I'm not going to make any videos about it specifically. You're just going to have to trust me on this, that I just can't do it. But imagine this, imagine you have the ability to chase passion. I mean, clearly, whether you like me or not, or whether you like what I'm doing or not, or you think that I'm just pitching stuff, I know many of you really get what I'm about. Imagine yourself being able to walk away from, you know, I'm super passionate about what I did for a living, my job, and now chasing just pure passion, pure what I love. And I'm going to take it to a scale and a level like no one has ever done it. I think I probably already have. I'm currently working harder than I've ever worked in my entire life, even in the beginning of my career. But it doesn't feel like it. I've got my entire family involved. Imagine that. So my parents, my kids, well, Kate isn't doing much, but Ryan's working at HQ. I've got friends that I'm going to be able to hire, cultivate, create jobs for people. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm chasing passion, chasing this dream that I have, this vision that I have for Obsessed Garage, and I'll talk more about that on the podcast, things like that. But I've got so much stuff that I'm going to be building and coming out with that I would want to participate in, or I would want to purchase, and so in the way that I would want to purchase it. And again, the general theme, I've said this hundreds of times now, is if I enjoy something, if I want to do something, if something either doesn't exist or isn't done as well as I would like, if I do it, then others probably want something similar. So there's a synergy there, there's an opportunity there, and so I'm going to chase that harder than anybody's ever chased it. And so that's the plan, and I'm so pumped, so excited about that, all the possibilities. It's almost, it's overwhelming to even think about. So I'm going, I tried going 4K with vlogging, right? Now that I'm doing this full time, I'm gonna vlog a lot more. You know, I'm gonna really let you in and continue to let you in on the building of this business and the follies and the trials and tribulations and what I learn and what I do well and what I don't. And so I'm gonna share that. This foamer blows. I'm just rolling through all kinds of product. So sorry, Auto Fanatic. I'll get it fixed. I'll get an IK or something like that and test it a little heavier. I guess I'm supposed to let it dwell. I get impatient. So I'm transitioning to 4K, as I was mentioning. The Sony RX100 was it was worse than a darn GoPro as far as making me want to throw up when I'm editing it. Just the stabilization in 4K is just not good, and so I ordered another Canon G7X Mark II. So I ordered another one of those to have as my carrying point-and-shoot camera. And I would really like to transition to 4K and really start to get more efficient or more proficient in editing and capture the same essence. You know, I don't want to go away from my style, which is to be long format, give you the detail, good enough quality to where the quality is good. I don't think I'm ever going to be a cinematographer or have that skill set. I don't now, especially, I don't have the time or energy to focus on that. I think it's good. And that's not really my thing, right? My thing is this. And so I don't want to go spend all kinds of time and energy doing that when I have a finite amount of time and energy, and I would rather spend that on developing products for what we're up. And maybe I shouldn't call it developing products, finding products, because I'm not doing a lot of developing, at least not at this point. I prefer to go find the best stuff and then adapt it to what, the application. So let's call it adapting products. But anyway, I just ordered a Panasonic. I think it was David Beaver who suggested that, why aren't you considering the 3/4 cameras? And I don't know why. Mainly because I have all my Canon L series stuff, all my Canon glass. But I'm not even using the L stuff. I'm using the cropped stuff on, like, this is a EFS. It probably should be an L lens. But this is a 18 to 55 millimeter f2.8 EFS. So it's true, designed for the crop sensor. But I'm going to be GH5. I'm probably going to start vlogging with that and carrying that around with me, so I'm going to probably I'm going to play with either 4K 30 frames or 4K 24 frames a second to make it look a little bit more. I tend to like channels that have that film look to it. I don't know if that's a mistake for me, because I've been shooting 1080 60 frames a second, but I'm going to be doing the Panasonic 12 to 35 millimeter with their image stabilization. I'm going to try that, and then I'll probably transition to the audio is going to improve as well. There's a noticeable hiss because I'm using too much of the preamp here in this Canon camera, and so I bought Panasonic has a much better internal preamp than the Canon does, but I'm going to continue to use the Sennheiser, the E3, or what is it, the EW112, the mic that I'm using here, but it'll have a lot less noise. And then when I'm vlogging, I'll probably use between the onboard mic and I'll put a wind muffle, the micro muff over the sensor, over the mic, so it hopefully doesn't have too much wind noise, and probably a Rode stereo video mic, or Video Mic Pro, not the stereo, but the Video Mic Pro on top of the camera, and I'll probably just lug that sucker around. The times that I can't bring the big one, that's when I'll just do 1080p G7X. So you're going to see some change, I think, in the quality of the video. My next hire is going to be somebody that's media focused, somebody that'll start editing and capturing, curating content. I'm going to go really, really deep into podcasting. I really enjoy that. In order for me to podcast, I need a place, a comfortable place to do it. And so HQ, I've built the office, which I've hired Chris to come in and help insulate me a bit from the where's my product questions, and take a little bit of weight off of Michelle, who's doing all the drop shipping. So he's going to be in that office most of the time. So I may have to build a studio here in the house, at least a more appropriate studio in the office that we have, to really focus on the podcast, because I really enjoy podcasts, and there aren't many that I can find that I really like. So I'm going to create one that I would like, and hope that you like it too. So take the Dialed In podcast and just expand on it and do a lot more of it. So let's get rolling on the paint here, and I'll keep telling you what's going on. New bucket fillers are live in the store. Excuse the sales pitch there, but it's awesome. I'm psyched about this thing. It's just amazing. I know many of you are going to lose your crap about it costing $218, but look, it's just what it costs, plus a 35% or so margin on it. I think my margin's a little higher on these, but all of these I just mark them up 35%. I'd like to have much higher margins than that in the future, but the only way to do that, I don't want to charge more. I want to just reduce my purchasing costs, and I'll be doing that via volume. I mean, I don't think I'll ever sell a ton of these. It's a very specific, very niche product. If you have a hose bib that's down here, it's not going to work. It's not as well. Adam's car shampoo, as usual. Got to test out the chemical guy stuff. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to mention or talk about. I'm gonna call it the Obsessed Garage Decon Wash, because the chemical guys didn't give a crap, I don't think, about this product anymore. So they just said, do whatever you want. Here's the product. Get out of it. Get lost. Leave us alone, because I've been badgering them. But I'm going to call it Obsessed Garage Decon Wash or Decon Soap or something like that. But I'm going to call it the signature version because it's going to take me a while to figure out labels, and so I'm going to write it on a Sharpie on the bottle. And so this will be your opportunity to get, excuse the arrogance of this, or the audacity of it, I'm going to call it the signature edition because I'm going to write it in a Sharpie and sell it, send it out to you. My pump comes this week, so we should be able to get it in bottles, hopefully, and get it out. I'm sorry, videoing this time of day, the lighting is just really rough for this kind of stuff. So stay tuned. Citrus wash. It probably won't be this week, but it'll be next week or so. Oh boy. That's why we always point it at the ground first, just in case. Make sure the tip is on. I didn't put it on properly. People are always wondering about this wiggling, but as soon as I'm under pressure, the wiggling stops, right? So they're like, oh my God, the tolerances are bad on this, but again, once you're under pressure, the thing is locked down. So don't worry about that. You know, I got to be careful here because this is a 4.0 size, not a 6.0. So this is a little bit too aggressive. I'm probably closer to 2,000 PSI now on the big pressure washer. So again, on the Culinite, I never got the sweating. You know, I find it probably sweat 60% of the time, so there's no need to really address it. But you can see the, you know, the water reaction. You know, it's good. I mean, we get some small beading, we get a little bit of sheeting. You could sheet the water off this pretty easily. I find the woofs that we have on the window, the woofs will actually do a little better after the first wash. Tends to work a little better. Car looks great. So let's get our soap bucket set up and let's start washing this thing. So here's our water reaction. And it'll look a little bit better in a minute here when it gets dirty. You know, we do have some small beading and certainly some coatings have better reaction to beading than this does. But notice, you know, water tends to run quite a bit more. We tend to get more collecting. This, you know, beading sitting on the paint is not a good thing because especially if you're out in the sun, then this becomes a magnifying glass for whatever mineral content is in the water. So it's part of the reason why we delete beading photos on the Obsessed Garage Facebook page. It just doesn't, it's not a, I mean, it's a good indicator that there's something on the surface protecting it to some extent, but it also ends up becoming a bit of a deterrent of protecting the paint because, you know, those beads, especially in the rain, if you have like a rain where it immediately the sun comes out, that's when you get your water spotting. Now, one of the reasons why, I mean, for whatever reason, for me, water spots are like the thing I hate most. And so it's part of the reason why I'm willing to deal with a wax, because water spotting is much less of a problem. But a wax on my Raptor is too much, man. Now, my GT3 is coated, which I like, and we'll do a PPF update here soon. But I wish it was wax. It's such good. this combo of the Krenzel pressure washer, this foam cannon, all this stuff. I know Griot's has a new foam cannon, which, I mean, the flaws of this are it doesn't stand up, you know, because it's not counterweighted really well, but this gives you, my guess is, superior foam to anything else we're gonna get our hands on. And if you're new here, new to the channel, I much prefer just putting the soap on, using it more as lubrication, because this is a pH neutral soap. It's not going to, and there'll be a little bit of emulsification of the dirt on the car, but most of it is most of what this soap is going to do is just be neutral and add lubrication. So if I rinsed it now, it's not going to do a whole heck of a lot, if anything. But that's a debate we've beaten to death. I already have some water in the bucket from messing with the bucket filler last night. Got a little more water than I normally like to have in the bucket. Gosh, the lighting is terrible. Sorry about that, but it's what we got to deal with right now. This time of the summer is always hard to shoot video. That's why a lot of times I'll shoot it at night. So our normal wash, this is a brand new, now I've already washed it, but this is a brand new Nano Pad. It's the latest version of it. Gosh, I love Colonite. This combination is just awesome, I'm telling you. And this is just pure preference, but I like it. I like the look of it so much more. I like how it feels right now when I'm washing it. I know that shouldn't matter. I know I shouldn't be touching the paint. It's just good, man, I'm telling you. Just prefer having this polymer-based Carnauba, or I guess Carnauba-based polymer wax. And then I think I'm really gonna enjoy the Bead Maker addition to it. So, you know, I was just talking about vlogging. And when I talk vlogging, I don't count this as a vlog. I count this as a, I don't know, I guess we'd call it a product video or something like that. This is just me doing me here. A vlog is more me giving you day in the life stuff. And so what I'm thinking about doing is, because I'm still a little uncomfortable with the whole idea of sharing everything in my life, right, publicly. I'm obviously not a very private dude, and I've seen such huge personal benefits, you know, mentally, from letting others in. You know, instead of me just going at it alone, it's just helped keep me sane. And so there's a real benefit to that, but then there's a risk to, you know, I tend to attract some crazy people, as I'm sure most people who are public with their life. And sharing a little too much, I guess, could get you in trouble. I don't know. But what I'm thinking about doing, I think the Obsessed Garage, the building of this, at least I hope, and again, excuse the arrogance of this, I just speak what I'm thinking here. But I think that the building of this, the sharing of this would be interesting to some and beneficial to many. You know, if you're building a business or you want to do something online, or you want to, you know, I'm going to share the building of the warehouse and all the stuff that I figure out, and do the same thing that I do with everything in my life, and just chase excellence, and not just do what everybody else does. Do it my way, which, you know, I have an odd sense about me, and so let's use that oddity to make something not necessarily, and I don't care about being different. What I care about is just doing it my way. And sometimes my way is the same, sometimes it's different. And my way a lot of times is wrong, and then has to be tweaked. And that, to me, is part of the fun, is the tweaking. The not being hung up on the fact that I was doing it wrong, or could have been doing it better, is a lot of fun for me. So I'm thinking about creating, in order to combat this personal issue I have with sharing too much, is to create a reasonable membership program. And you could certainly do it on YouTube. But my lesson learned when Amazon shut my account down is I don't want to rely on anybody else. I want to own whatever it is I'm doing. And so if YouTube does something, Google does something crazy, messes up YouTube somehow, I don't want to be stuck there. And so the whole sponsor a channel thing, I want to do it differently on my own site that I control, and I don't have to pay them. I don't really care about paying them, but it just, I'm going to do it my way. And so what I'm thinking about doing, and maybe you guys can help me out here in the comments if you've made it this far in the video. I'm guessing most of you are pretty bought into what I'm doing. If you watch, we're probably 30 minutes in here. Doing a membership program would have a couple of reasons. One, it helps me to take some of these things that I otherwise wouldn't talk about in a day-to-day vlog, or like a weekly vlog, day in life stuff, talking about building the business, sharing the resources and things that I've figured out, sharing the development of products, sharing the day-to-day stuff, sharing the hiring, the hopefully not much of, but potential firing, the life lessons along the way, the building inventory management systems, ordering and developing products, all of that stuff. I think that could be really cool, and I think if this continues to grow, I'll have the resources to hire people to help me capture it, without going crazy. I mean, I'm working 15, 16 hours a day right now building this out. So don't let anybody tell you, yeah, you own your own business, you do your own thing, you chase your own dream, that it's easy. Anyone with any semblance of success is working their butt off. Even if they love it, it's still work. But the membership program would include, I think, and my initial thought is, and I'd probably have different tiers, but you'd log on OG.com, I would do an exclusive, a podcast, focusing on personal and business, once a week or something like that. And then I would have a vlog, that's where I would do most of my vlogs. I'd probably do a public vlog once a week, or I'm sorry, once a month, to show people what it's about, I guess to recruit others to sign up. And then it would have some sort of membership benefits for the store. So whatever you paid in membership dues, let's say it's 15 bucks a month, would be offset. If you were going to purchase a few things in the store, that membership cost would be offset with some sort of savings, whether it's free shipping or a discount code. Because again, I'm not having public discount codes, doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because then everybody would just wait and buy it when you have it on sale. So why don't you just price it at that in the beginning? It just doesn't. I don't want to be a retailer. I want to be a consultant to you. And my ask has always been that you help me subsidize this, this creation of this destination that I think we all want. For instance, everybody thinks that I did the Rupes event and got rich off of it and made a bunch of money because I charged, a fee to come out and do it and to organize it and all of that. I'm telling you, every cent of that and more went into building the inventory I have of Rupes products to be able to provide it to you. And so, the membership program will help, support my lifestyle to some extent, help me buy the cars that I need to make the videos and the products, pay for my health insurance and stuff like that. But the idea behind the membership program is to then let people in a little bit deeper and then create some sort of Facebook-like group that if you're a member, you get access to the community. Because the key for all of this for me is the connection of people, right? So let me set the deionized water here. So we got our DI water going. Make sure I'm recording here. I'm really letting you in deep here. into my thought process. It doesn't take much to run the water out. So again, this is too much pressure for washing a car. I want it to be less, but I don't have a metal 40-degree. Gosh, this looks so good. I always like the first wash better than I do the culmination of the finishing of the full detail. I love it when I get so much pushback on doing this. I mean, this sheets water by doing that better than pretty much than most coatings because of the contact angle. It's just better. You know, it's like, this reminds me very much, and I don't want to pick fights with people, but I always end up doing by proxy because I tell you what I think. This looks better. You know, there's less of a synthetic look to it. Right? To me, this is personal preference. I know many people would much prefer the thickness, the candy look of a coating. But this to me looks better. I get more depth. It's more natural. It's probably partly nostalgic for me. I just like the look of a waxed car. Again, this will blow off a little differently than a coating. It's not like crazy hydrophobic and then we get all these crazy beads, but the water tends to collect and then pulls and sheets off. So if I ran a hose across this, it would sheet it. Same thing with sea quartz or crystal serum or some other, kamikaze stuff or whatever, Dr. Beasley or whatever floats your boat. But the look of this just appeals to me. This reminds me very much of, remember plasma and LCD, right? LCD came out, and you take 4K LCD or a higher resolution, much higher brightness, but the contrast ratio was although published really high, LCDs, they still look like crap. And then there's somebody's QLED, and then you have them with different areas that light, and we can argue to the death. But LCD to me will not be in my house because it doesn't look good enough. There are some advantages to it, but the main disadvantage is that in the real world it doesn't look like I'm looking out the window. Plasma was far superior for blacks and depth and just real world, I don't want to say clarity, but real world accuracy. Now OLED has taken the reins of that. Much more expensive, much less efficient, requires more power, is burnable, so there are lots of disadvantages to it, but the main advantage is what it looks like when I'm looking at it. Same thing here. I like the way it feels, I like the way it reacts, I like the way it beads water. I just like I'm willing to put in the effort, the work to make it work or make it last, and I'm willing to put in the effort to reapply it later. Now a coating will have has better longevity, but the problem with coating is it tends to water spot early, and sometimes those spots don't come out. So I mean, I think a lot of people forget that coatings, although they last longer, if you want it to really work well and you want it to maintain, you want it to stay looking good, you have to maintain it, in some instances even more than this. Michelle's truck has water spots all over it, has sea quartz. We did an amazing job. I had the guy, Corey, came down and put the product on the truck himself. We IR lamped it, and it has water spots all over it. Now it's white, so it doesn't matter as much, but I'm going to need to, and I've done spotless and it didn't get it off, and so I'm going to have to polish it off and redo it, and that's part of the deal. Now I've abused the truck where this would have never stood up to it. So even though I have some water spotting on that truck, I mean, I've washed it probably 3 times, 4 times since we did it a year ago. Now more like probably 6 or 7 times, but I've only washed it maybe once a month on average, sometimes longer. This would have never stood up to that, so it just made sense for the product. So what I'm getting at is I think you need to choose the product for the application and not get hung up up on other funny stuff. Just do what you like. And so that's my general thesis on this. So I'm going to use the Ego blower, which I prefer over a Master Blaster because I don't want to get out power cords and drag that thing around. Filtered air I don't think is necessary, but this is the first electric one I think is viable to beat, has the similar air amount of output as the steel that I use for years. We do have a little bit of stuff that will catch on the paint with the drying aid that I didn't get off, because I don't want to buff the car off when I'm washing it and scratch it all up. So I'm going to go and dry this thing off. All right, so here we go with Bead Maker, right? Shake it up a little. I'm going to keep it on the paint. You don't need to see my head. So this is counter to what you're used to. So we want to spray a bunch of it on the surface. All right, this is a spray sealant. You're going to use a lot more of this product. Just buy a gallon. You know, you're going to need more of it. And I'm going to take my towel, and this is where I learned the lesson here and learned the difference. These towels work perfectly because you have a high and low pile side. So this is my small edgeless Rag Company drying towel, and I'm going to spray a few sprays on the towel, get the towel wet. All right, so I'm going to take the high pile side and I'm going to spread it in. All right, I'm going to wipe it on the surface. Okay, and it's going to look like it's smearing. And I'm going to work it in. So this is not especially the first application, this is not a particularly efficient drying aid. Then I take the low pile side and I come back and I follow. And I'm going to finish the wipe. And now what's going to happen here is the product takes a couple of hours to then cross-link with itself and bond. And so it takes a little time to set up. And that's how you do it. And then the slickness we get to the surface is pretty insane. But it will look a little different in a few hours. So we'll do the same thing down here, the lights, the paint. Again, this is counterintuitive to what you've been taught, to use very little product. Instead, we're going to use a lot of product. I'll spray some on my towel. And we're going to spread it on the surface. So I found that spreading it around with the high pile side does pretty well. And I come back with a low pile side to finish the wiping. And like I said, this is the first application of it. So the second time you come put it on at the next wash, it'll be quite a bit easier. And then we'll just maintain this going forward, and then our base layer of wax will hold up a lot longer because this becomes our sacrificial layer. Seems like every time I'm doing this, it's raining, making it so much hotter and sweatier. So that's it. That's the application. I'm going to go around and do the whole car. All right, so here's the good news. The good news is the Bead Maker is awesome. The bad news is down that side of the car, I was hoping this would come off, and I was going to keep my mouth shut here in the video, but I'm going to be honest with you. We have sprinklers at HQ, and then there's a couple of days afterwards, some sprinklers got on the car, and after I just talked all that trash about water spots on coatings, I got some water spots that I assumed would wipe right off. It must have been, it's really crappy water at HQ, and so I got some hard water spots that I'm gonna have to, I even put some MDR on there. It's gonna require some MDR. So the good news is we'll have to do another video here. We have to polish half the car, just a quick polish. You know, polishing and chemicals don't usually work. So it'll require a combination of chemical removal of those spots and some polishing. And so I'm hoping the Bead Maker doesn't lock it in and make it even harder to get out, but I'm gonna have to put the car back up on the lift and do a bunch more work. It sucks. God dang it. This side looks great. I tried to get it on camera, but it doesn't show. They're faint, but you know, the car's perfected out, and then I've got a whole side of the hood, the fender, part of the roof on that side has water spots all over it. I'm like, God dang it. I thought I could check this off my list. So, anyway, it looks so good. I'm telling you, a couple hours later, the humidity is gonna dry up here. This is gonna cross-link and look even deeper and slicker. It's a really, really awesome experience, the combination of all this stuff together. And then this will build the top layer. I wish I'd put Bead Maker on earlier because it probably would have rejected any of that. I guess this, I've never had an issue with water spotting unless it's been some crazy situation where we had, like, you know, got hit with some really hard water. But you know, those are the breaks. That's the part of maintaining the car. It's part of the reason why you don't have 5 cars, you only have a couple, at least for me. So I'm gonna finish the other side here, and then I'm gonna go grab some lunch and then come out and do the door jambs. Now I put Bead Maker on the glass on Michelle's truck just to see how it would do, and it does pretty well, but we have some fresh wolves on here from the first application. I'm gonna use some Optimum glass, clean and protect, which I like because it has some sealant in it as well. You don't want to use this on the interior because your windows will fog crazy. On the exterior it works really well. My waffle weave, Rag Company towel. Gotta love floor humidity. It takes 75 wipes to get the surface clean. There we go. So I'll do this to all 5 windows just to get a extra layer of protection. And sometimes if you don't wipe well enough after the first, just like sometimes the Colonite will haze and come to the surface, which of course I wanted to show you that, and it didn't do it this time. Your glass in like the morning, you'll see your marks for the first wash. You'll see all the little swirlies that you did when you applied it. So there we go. So there's our glass. I'm gonna go around and do all this and then go grab some lunch and do the door jambs. All right, just went and had some lunch. Finally off my darn cleanse. It's probably gonna make me lose because I probably need to keep going for a few more days, but I can't do it anymore. I did 22 days of cleanse and I'm done. I'm checked out on it. So just to give you an idea, Bead Maker, you know, here's how much I've used. I've used, you know, a little bit less. Probably by the time it's done, I'll use half of a 16-ounce bottle. So I just don't like 16-ounce bottles very much. I'd rather use a 32-ounce bottle. So I'll be, as I work through and figure out my own bottles here, we'll be doing 32-ounce likely. I like the Griot's has that happy medium, the 22-ounce bottle too, which is kind of cool. You know, for those of you who just don't quite like, you know, the 32 is a little too big. Also depends on the product too. Like Bead Maker, we're using a lot more product than some of the others. All right, so wheel towel. I'm so disappointed that I'm gonna have to get the polisher out and do some work. God dang it. It's frustrating. Again, and the reason why I know it's not the Colonite issue is the windows have a bunch of the same spots on them. So it's from the darn sprinklers. I'm gonna keep using 1-to-1 here. We use our wheel and tire towel, using the opposite side to wipe off the tires. Prep. I'm going to continue testing the 1-to-1 version instead of using it straight up like I have for years. The car tires, I've been doing application with our Race Glaze XL, and then following up with the foam block. And by the time I get back around and finishing up the tires, I'll, you know, finishing up the cleaning of the wheels and tires, I'll just wipe the excess off. But this tends to work pretty well like this. Really work it in. Also helps me get in here. And I'll leave that and we'll come back around. So I'm going to be flying up to Pennsylvania to hang out with Troy Sowers and Mike, Street Speed 717, and maybe I'll go meet Nick and hang out with Shane Weldon from InShane Designs. I'm shooting a bunch of videos there. So that was the main reason for me to start chasing a new travel setup. And I mean, the G7X is decent, but I wanted something a little better. And so I got a new travel tripod. And I'm giving my Peak Design bag a second go. I didn't realize how amazing the bag was and how much it can do. So I still think I had to mess with the straps a little bit. I didn't like how it was kind of cutting in a little bit. So I also got so I have the 20L version I've been testing, but I got the 30-liter size as well to test that out. But I'm going to be doing all kinds of traveling. I got SEMA coming up. I got the GT3 mountain trip coming up. We'll have to shoot tons of video when I'm there, since it'll be the first time I had the RS in the mountains. My exo shield has been kind of jacked up. That well, I guess when we carried it across the room, it picked up a bunch of dust, and because it's so thick, all that dust is visible. You know, it makes it sort of give like little air pockets. So I got to get the exo shield redone. But what I'll probably do is just leave the janky exo shield on there for the trip to the mountains here in September. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with either shipping it up there, or whether I'm just going to drive it, you know, because I sold the trailer. But I got that coming up, SEMA coming up, and so I want to start vlogging in 4K, and then I'm probably again going to likely chase doing something like the like what I talked about with a membership type program. I don't know, we'll see if I'm crazy or not, if other people would want something like that. So I'm going to finish up the tires here. So then I just take the lower pile side of the tire or towel to wipe the tire down. Just wipe off the excess. We end up with a nice satin looking finish. So we got a little bit of protection on the wheels. Tires clean, so that job's done. Let's do the door jambs and we'll wrap it up. Anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on. I got lots of things planned. Big life change here. I'm gonna work on building the infrastructure of Obsessed Garage so that I can do more of this, playing with products and doing, again, it's not about playing or doing what I want to do. It's about where I think the most value, where I think, you know, the position where I think I can provide the most value, which is making this kind of content, and then just doing more of it. Like I said, I'm excited about the podcast because I think podcast in general is going to become a lot more popular. It has for me, because you have to sit down and make time for video, but for audio you can listen to it anywhere. So we'll go through and do the jams. I'm gonna have to deal with, we got some back here, some spotting. Gosh, it's so frustrating doing all that work. I've got to go touch it up. So anyway, I'm going to go finish the rest of the jams. Bead Maker is a great product. It's, you know, as you'll find that when you first put on, you'll be like, I don't know about this, and then a few hours later, oh man, the truth is, what they're telling you is the truth. What I'm telling you is the truth, in that, you know, it's a little more difficult to put on, but the end result is extremely slick. Feels a lot like Power Lock does, only maybe a little bit different. Feels a little waxier to me. A little has that sort of feel of fresh carnauba wax. And so if we're building layers and layers of this, it won't require as much product, won't require as much effort, and so it'll become a pseudo drying aid. Again, I think the effort's worth the result. I'm going to use it on the jams, use it on the wheels, and so it becomes a more useful product. You could use it on the windows. Again, I don't know how it will do long term, you know, if it had build up or something like that on the windows. But anyway, thanks for watching this one. Stay tuned. I'm going to take the car for a drive, do a driving video that'll come out probably the day after this video is up. And stay tuned for lots more crazy. I'm gonna chase it now, see where this thing can go. The vision I have, I'm gonna continue to share with you as it evolves, as it changes. Doing a site in North Carolina, building a destination here in Florida, and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.